Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today what we're going to be talking about is the 2026 offseason, but more specifically the Panthers free agency class. Now, obviously, I'll make another video talking about the draft, but there's no reason to make that video right now because we have no idea what the free agency is going to be. So again, just kind of show you what my idea would be. There's already been some kind of announcements, but before we really get into as far as like free agency starting on March the 9th, I want to kind of give my idea of what I think we could potentially do. So, starting off, how much cap space do we actually have? Now, we started off having about 10 or 12 million dollars. Though obviously that kind of changed when the official, I think it was 300 million cap space came out, and also we re-signed J.J. Jansen. J.J. Jansen has been with the team since 2010. He's our long snapper. Glad to bring him back. He is entering, I think, year 40. Like, that's kind of great. Like, well, he's 40 years old is what I meant to say. But right now, our cap space is $9,295,304 dollars to spend. Obviously, we're going to make some more moves to be able to increase that. Now, there are three moves I think we can make that I think would make sense to make. Starting off, the first one it's already been kind of announced, but right now we are shopping Ashawn Robinson to either trade him or to potentially cut him. Now, if we do that, that's going to free up about $10.5 million. So again, it's kind of a no-brainer. Honestly, I love Ashawn Robinson. I think he's a great locker room presence. I would hate to see him go, but giving $10.5 million for us to spend elsewhere, where we already have a lot of money spent on our defensive tackle room, it kind of makes sense for us to let him go. Though, like I said, I hate to see him leave. But that was already talked about, so that's $10.5 million added to the cap hit. And then also, two restructures I think we could do. Now, take in consideration the fact of age of who we're going to restructure and also the position of players playing by far the best of their position. That's going to be Derek Brown and J.C. Horn. Now, if you restructure both of them, it'll be a little bit over 12 million per restructure. So if we add in those three moves, so the two restructure of Derek Brown and J.C. Horn, and also Ashawn Robinson, all three of those moves, that gets our cap up to about $44,829,054. Now again, that's in 2026. But the best thing about this is that in 2027, we would still have $100,964,274, even though that would obviously, like I said, it would increase based upon the fact that you would have probably even more salary cap going up each and every single year. But we'll go into that a little bit later. But the reason why I'm not making so many moves is that I understand that there are some Panthers fans who want to say it's like, hey, we should just go all in this year. I don't think that's the case because I don't think it's the free agency class to really do so. There are some good players that I think we will probably try to go after, but I don't think it's important for us to make sure we go all in right now because right now, based upon the moves that I made, we are set at about 50, 55 million, close around there, 55 million going into 2027, assuming we're using all the cap space from 2026. And that's a great starting off point for 2027. So, again, there's a lot of moves we've got to make. But there are some options to add more cap. So I kind of show that we're not going to be doing it for like what the plan is, but kind of show you what could potentially be if you decide to make those moves, make even more money. Starting off, you can cut Tommy Tremble. I would hate to see that happen because, like I said, he's also a great locker room guy for us. But if we decided to cut Tommy Tremble, we could save $6 million that we could use to try to pay maybe a better tight end. Because again, Tommy Tremble's good, but like I said, you could probably get like a top tier tight end using the money you'd save from cutting Tommy Tremble. Now, other one is a big restructure, and that's going to be restructuring Robert Hunt. Now, Robert Hunt he's been amazing for us. Obviously, last year he got hurt, unfortunately. But if we decided to restructure Robert Hunt, it would be a little bit less than $12 million in cap relief. However, again, you don't want to keep on restructuring everybody because that's where the problem happens. If you keep on restructuring everybody, you start getting to a problem that happened with the Saints. Now, obviously, the cap is getting bigger and bigger every single time. People say the cap isn't real. My thing is this. If we make both those moves for 2026, we'd have like $62.6 million. So again, it'd be great. We have a lot of money to spend. However, we only have $95 million to spend in 2027. Now, you look at that, you're like, well, that's only like 5 million less than what we initially had. Yes, but you have about 20 million more to spend in 2026 that would cut into 2027. And that's my problem. I don't want to spend that much money this offseason because I don't love the free agency class this year. And I don't think it would be beneficial to, like, almost hurt our future capital of what the extension we're going to have to do in 2027 that I'll talk about it more so. Now, here are some things that we definitely will not do, and I've seen some people say it. Now, mainly, is it like like Sports Illustrated articles that don't know what they're talking about? Yes, but I've seen some people say that we could potentially try to cut Wharton, Tershawn Wharton, and also Bobby Brown the third this offseason. That makes no sense because one, that would mean we have to replace that production, and we don't have necessarily the capital to do so. So it makes no sense to do that right now. But in 2027, if we decide to cut them, then that's perfectly fine. Because right now, if Tershawn Wharton and Bobby Brown have the same as a 2026 season that they had in 2025, where they were not impressive, then guess what? We can cut them for a very large sum. Wharton for 2027, you save 14.8 million. That's probably going to happen. For Bobby Brown, you release them, you save 8 million. Again, these are great numbers to be able to save for future reference. Make sure, hey, we're not going to restructure, we're not going to cut you this year, but if you don't do what you're supposed to be doing, guess what? You're out of here. So again, it makes perfect sense to do so. But right now, we're only going to do those three moves that I mentioned before, and that makes us up to about 44,829,054 dollars. Now, here's the other thing I want to talk about. Right now, kind of showing you who we could potentially sign. Now, I kind of want to preface this right now before I go into who I think we're going to re-sign as far as our free agency, and then also who, like, the big names that I think we're going to do. These are positions of need, especially on the defense. I think at free agency, I don't think we'll really go after offense. I've seen some people say potentially for like wide receiver 3, maybe like for like a slot guy. Again, the money that's there, I just rather not spend that money for a wide receiver 3 instead of, like, hoping that maybe Jimmy Horn Jr. could be that wide receiver 3 for us. Maybe, who knows what they decide they want to do for Xavier Leggett. Again, I don't know, but I'd rather not spend the money for like $6 million on a wide receiver 3. It makes no sense for us. So again, I'd rather not do that. And like I said, I think that some of the re-signs we'll be doing is on the offensive line. So there's no reason to really kind of dive deeper into what free agency we could possibly go to with offensive line. So, man, just kind of show you the edge rushers, linebackers, and safeties. Um, Looking at top of market, what could potentially be, and also what could be bottom of market. Now, you're looking at the numbers right now, you might could be confused. The numbers that I'm putting on there is what I am projecting is going to be the cap hit, not like how much it can be per year. So again, you might see like a 15 million per year, like or you might see like a 17 million per year. Again, it's not me saying, oh, if they have a 3-year deal, that 17 million be 51 million. No, I'm just saying that I would say the cap hit more than likely close around that per year. I'm expecting to be that. Obviously, they can move stuff around. Again, I'm not a cap guru. I can't tell you everything. But for edge rusher, obviously, it's been announced that Trey Henderson will be able to test free agency. That has been a name that people have tried to link to the Panthers. I think he's out of our price range. Again, I know he's a great pass rusher. Be great for us, but I think he's a bit out of our price range. So just want to put that up there, but I don't really think it's a good option. Um, you're seeing the Panthers be potentially picks for Devin Lloyd. We've heard some other people, like I said, Alex Singleton's name's kind of be thrown in the mix. Again, I'm trying to show you who I think is potential for us, whether it be more like a veteran presence kind of guy, whether it be someone who I think is going to be an above average starter for us, or somebody who I think that if we want to break the bank, we could do so. I also want to preface this. Initially, I do really think that we were going to go with free agency, free safety, because that's a big need for us. I don't think we will because the fact that I like the safety class that's coming up in the draft class. Do I want to pay this much money for a safety? We're already paying not Tershawn, I'm sorry, Trevor Merring a lot of money. So do we want to spend a lot of money on safeties, or do we want to possibly draft a safety in the third or fourth round? have them battle it out with Lathan Ransom for the whoever's going to be the free safety. I think it's probably the best bet. So again, just kind of want to talk about that before we go into who we're going to re-sign, and then go into who I think we're actually going to sign. Now, I have three names, so I think we're actually going to re-sign. We have a lot of free agency, a lot of free agents, and I'll put it all right here so you can see all the kind of free agents we have. Obviously, I think we're going to let Rico Dowdle walk. He wants to be a feature back. That's not going to happen here, especially when we already paid Chuba Hubbard, and we also invested a second round pick in Jonathan Brooks. It makes no sense for us to try to um, sign Rico Dowdle to a big deal. Another person who I think we're going to walk, unfortunately, is Cade Mays, because I think he's going to price himself out. Unfortunately, I think what I've seen is he could potentially get like $8 million per year, and we just don't have that money for the center. And the reason why I'm saying is because we already have two of the like top paid guards. We already have Moten, who's being spent a lot of money on, and then Ikem Ekwonu is eventually going to get his extension next year. So again, do we really want to have the most expensive offensive line? I don't think so. I think we're going to try to put like the money somewhere else. So let K Mays walk. However, homegrown talent, Dan Morgan wants to keep and reward those who have been doing what's supposed to be doing. So in my mind, we re-sign Brady Christensen. Brady Christensen can play all five positions. He's played, like I said, guard before. You could probably get him to play center if I had to guess. Like I said, he's played off about five positions. I'm pretty sure he's played center before. But you re-sign Brady Christian to a 2-year deal. Now, the cap number for me, I'm looking at it as I think potentially we could get him for like a 2 million cap number, and then like I said, have incentive base. Like I said, get closer probably to that 6 million to kind of keep him there. Of like, hey, this would be kind of nice for you if you want to come back to us. But again, I don't really know Brady Christian's free agency value. That one's I'm a little confused about, but I would love to bring back Brady Christensen. He's versatile along the offensive line, and we desperately need that to make sure that we have a good depth because we're losing a lot of people in free agency. The next one, mentioning offensive line again, with him, Ekwonu basically be losing his 2026 year because of his was a patella tendon, I believe. That's what he ruptured in the playoff game. So he's going to be gone for at least most of the season. So by that estimation, we got to look for tackle. And what's better than getting a guy who already knows our system, already has performed pretty well, and Josh Neiman. Josh Neiman. Goodness gracious. Josh Neiman did really good for us in that playoff game. Like when he had come in for Ikem Ekwonu, he's done well as spot starter. He did that also last year for Taylor Moton. So in my mind, if I'm Josh Neiman, I'm going back to a place that I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with the system. I get to start the whole entire year at left tackle. You'll probably get like more incentive based, but like maybe the cap number might be 5 million per year, kind of like help keep him stay, and then like add in some more incentive base. But again, if you're Josh Neiman, okay, I'm young enough that I can be able to get a better contract after this 1 year if I impress, and I get like a 2-year deal with like substantial amount of money if I prove my worth again. Again, that is what I would do for if I'm Josh Neiman. It makes sense for him. Be great for the Panthers as well, being able to have both um, positions, center and also left tackle, taken care of because that's one thing I'm kind of concerned about going to the season. So 2 down, 1 more to go. This one's kind of obvious. We are going to resign Jalen Coker. Now, for how much, that I have no idea. But again, it would make no sense for us to let Jalen Coker go. If I'm Jalen Coker, you're probably not going to want to sign more than a 2-year deal. But in my mind, if I'm the Panthers, I want to lock him down for 3 years and have that third year as far as like a buffer to try to re-sign him. But a 3-year deal with the cap hit of about 7 million per year. Again, you give him a significant pay increase, but for a wide receiver too, that's pretty daggum good for us. Like that's not that expensive for us. And like I said, get him to be able to train some more, get better as he goes. Right now, I believe he's 24 or 25. He's around that age. So by the time that hits, like when he's 27, 28, and we re-sign him to a second contract, like I said, he'll get a big, big payday. So again, I would love that for him. We're able to re-sign 3 important key guys for our offense. And then at this point in time, after we let all the other free agency walks, we have $30.8 million to spend. So setting aside some of that for the draft, there are two guys I'm looking at right now. If you recall, if you've seen some of the other Panthers drafts Panthers free agency classes we've had under Dan Morgan, you got the first year where we had to improve the offensive line. What did Dan Morgan do? He brought in two of the best guards to be able to protect Bryce. All right, so he did that his first year. The second year, we vastly need to improve our defensive tackle room. Outside Derek Brown, it was abysmal. So what do? Well, we decided to bring in Bobby Brown. We decided to bring in Tashawn Wharton. Now, honestly, we were trying to get Milton Williams. Unfortunately, that didn't quite work out, so we had to go backup plan, and it didn't quite work out the way that we wanted to. But again, Dan Morgan has shown that he wants to try to very much improve any kind of position of weakness that we have right now. As edge, as linebacker. Now, again, I just said before, I don't think for edge that we'll go for Trey Hendrickson. I think it's a bit outside of our price range, but someone who Dan Morgan could definitely get a little bit better of idea about because he's very close to John Schneider. Boye Mafe. Boye Mafe, to me, I think he's going to get a 3-year deal. So right now he's like 27 years old. He'll probably get a 3-year deal so that he gets like his age 30, basically his prime years, and about 15 million per year as cap. Like I said, I think he's going to get paid, but Boye Mafe would work perfectly in our system, being able to drop back in coverage, especially for different looks that Ejiro ever wants to do. Plus, also, if I remember correctly, Boye Mafe, his pass rush win rate was like at like sixth in the league, which is incredible. I mean, like, yes, you could say like, well, maybe it's because like say he's in a rotation. That's fair. It's still the fact that he is at like sixth in the league as far as pass rush win rate from edge rushers. So again, I'd rather pay for that to make sure we get some kind of pass rush because it's been a very long time since we had that. So again, big money spent for Boye Mafe, but I believe it'll be well worth it. Second one, and the last one who I think we could possibly go after, that's going to be Alex Singleton. Again, guy who's known as your Evero system, guy who's been able to, since Israel Evero was there in 2022, that's when Alex Singleton had probably his best year. And then, like I said, had a great contract for the Broncos, even output that contract too. So in my mind, it would be great to bring in Alex Singleton as not only as a veteran option for our defense to kind of help out Trevor Wallace, but also because he knows the system already. Again, these are two guys that I'm really hoping for because I think it'll be completing our team. So, what do you think? Do you like what I have so far as like our free agency class? Again, don't think we're going to go super duper, expensive in free agency. I think we're going to make sure kind of like get some highlighted players and then bring back some of our free agency. But that's about it. So, I'd love to hear you have to say in the comments below about either what your team might do or what you might think the Panthers might do. So, thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.